The monsters in my head are scared of love. Finding people, listen up. It's never too late to change your love. So don't let them steal your light. Don't let them break your stride. There's light on the other side. You'll see all the rain clouds falling. It's a revolution. Make it right. It's a revolution.
talking crip walk if you down with the set. Take a bullet with some grip and take the smoke on this jet. Out of town, put it down for the father of rap. And if you happen to get cracked, trick, shut your trap. Come back, get back, that's the part of success. If you believe in the S, you be relieving your stress. Da da da da da. It's the one and only Eagle Double G. Snoop Dogg.
better sounds no one's ever heard. I wish I had a better voice that sang some better words. I wish I found some chords in an order that is new. I wish I didn't have to rhyme every time I sang. I was told when I get older all my fears would shrink, but now I'm insecure and I care what people think. My name's Blurry Face and I care what you think. My name's Blurry Face and I care what you think.
I wish to stop.
We used to play pretend, give each other different names. We would build a rocket ship and then we fly far away. Used to dream of outer space, but now they're laughing at the face, singing, wake up, you need to make money. Yeah. Wish we
Wish we could turn back time to the good old days when the moon was saying us to sleep. But I wish to stop. Used to play pretend, bunny. We used to play pretend, wake up.
work it, baby.
Oh
It's like 4 a.m. and I'm bored again. When that 40 in, when that dream team all played out and they hit the bench, I just step back, let me soak it in. I seen the ups and downs, so I get it now. I was born to win. It's my time, about time, my turn. I can't lie, waiting for that.
Hopefully, if the rain abates, those thinking about it might come in to boost the atmosphere a little bit. The rain jackets are a must at the moment.
Around the banner.
So all rather different conditions awaiting these players here than Manchester United encamped in the western states of the United States for their games against Los Angeles and Salt Lake City. As I mentioned, they'll move on to Houston, Texas to meet Manchester City as the International Champions Cup 2017 gets into top gear here. Ambitious, global and glamorous, this tournament. 2 glamour names here. And although Manchester United and others are far away in the United States, much more emphasis in the coming days on China. Of course, at the heart of a huge boom in football on all fronts, sporting and financial. We head to Shanghai, Shenzhen and Nanjing over the next week or so, and with several games also to be staged in Singapore, a very strong Asian accent on what's to come. The International Champions Cup bringing together 5 of the top 6 from last season's Premier League in England. The champions Chelsea, the cup winners Arsenal, Manchester United, Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspur, Paris Saint-Germain and Lyon of France. The 2 biggest from the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich and here Borussia Dortmund. Italy's reigning champions Juventus, joined by Inter, Roma, Sampdoria and the nominated home team here, Milan. And we should, of course, mention the aristocrats of La Liga, Real Madrid and Barcelona, who will make their bow in coming days. Almost home from home, you might say, for Milan, of course, under Chinese ownership now after that long-running saga was finally resolved. And they hope it's the start of a much brighter future on what they hope will be a sounder financial foundation. No sign yet of Leonardo Bonucci, the most headline-grabbing of their transfer. Jose Mauri, who was to the country. He did play in the first game on this tour against the Urawa Diamond Reds in Japan. Dan Axel Zagadou, a free transfer from Paris Saint-Germain, starting with the more experienced Nuri Sahin and Sebastian Rode in midfield. Ignacio Abate doing the honours for Milan. But fast. Intent on keeping him now. It's a parlour game at this time of the year. Will he, won't he? Happens every year. Aubameyang's future much discussed, but he does start here once more for Borussia Dortmund. So Milan outspending nearly every club in Europe at the moment, around the €200 million mark in transfer fees, forked out as they try to close the gap to Juventus, Roma and Napoli. No Bonucci today, no Lucas Biglia, who is due to join with Milan's party for the games against Bayern in Shenzhen. Matteo Musacchio, and as you've seen, Hakan Çalhanoğlu may well play a part today among the substitutes. Gianluigi Donnarumma watching on from the sidelines. The often mysterious Montella moving in his own strange way at times, but let's see if Milan can start to send out a message that they are pretty tired of being mid-table in Serie A. And it'd be interesting to see how Dortmund do play under their new coach, the former Ajax coach, Peter Bosz, a man by reputation who loves to attack. Delighted to have Rob Daly alongside me. Rob.
Really interesting fixture here.
Three seasons at Fiorentina, fourth in each of them. 4 would appear to be a minimum requirement, really. 6 last season for Milan. Following up quickly. High energy start from Borussia Dortmund. Tidy from Bartra. Roda. Just a single season at Ajax. Peter Bosz got them to the Europa League final, where they were summarily dismissed by Manchester United. Very disappointing night for Ajax. Couldn't win the title in Holland. Feyenoord beat him to that. But the turmoil and the pot-boiling tension at Dortmund finally accounting for Thomas Tuchel as the season reached a climax. confirmation that Hakan Çalhanoğlu, once of the Bundesliga, of course, at Bayer Leverkusen, another marquee signing for Milan. He's on the bench today. Musacchio, who's arrived from Villarreal, defender. They'll hope to take some part today. And Antonio Donnarumma, the elder brother of Gianluigi Donnarumma, and depending on who you believe, that was the sweetener which persuaded Gianluigi to sign on the dotted line that they bought his big brother there. Here come Dortmund again. Ferrari knew where his right-hand post was, I think, just drifting by it from Dembele, but Milan have started very poorly here.
Wonderful play from Dembele, and if he can add more goals to his game, I think that's what takes him to the next level. 13 assists last season, many of those for Aubameyang, and that wasn't too far away, and that's twice down the right-hand side he's found space.
And Milan are finding it very difficult to live with this. They played Lugano in Switzerland at the training camp there. Won 4-0. Crotone and Crociata, who are on the bench, were among the goal scorers. Still very early for them, and to emphasise just how early, the actual fixture list for Serie A 2017-18 is only published on Friday of this week, so they don't even know where they're playing yet.
It's remarkable to think that. Obviously in England I think people would struggle with that kind of scheduling, but the objective for Milan is clear, to close the gap on those teams. As you mentioned, you look at how far they were behind Juventus, 28 points for the Rossoneri, simply nowhere near good enough still.
The spin doctors want us to believe that this is just the very, very opening steps in what is going to be a new Milan. Can't fault their ambitious statement purchasing of big-name players like Biglia, Musacchio, Çalhanoğlu, and Bonucci paramount, of course, and that one really made everybody in Italy wake up, I think, that he would leave Juventus for Milan. But it's one thing to buy them and then another thing to start putting a team together. Here's Roda. All Dortmund here early on. Dembele again, can't catch up with him. Storari just got enough on it, only just. Cleared by Zapata, but they can't get out. Bacca is hauled down by Socrates. Not sure which of Socrates and Bartra was not expecting to play with Omar Toprak's arrival. But of course, you never know what's going to be round the corner. Toprak finds he's got a visa problem, has to go home early.
Socrates is without question, I think, Dortmund's first choice centre-back, outstanding for the last couple of years. I'd even say he was better than Mats Hummels in his final season at the club. Bartra had an inconsistent season at times that was obviously disrupted at the back end after the Dortmund bus attack. But I would suspect that maybe Toprak and Socrates would be first choice central defensive pairing for Dortmund at the start of the season.
I'll leave you to tell Bartra that, Rob. The glamour boy from Barcelona. Neong back from a spell at Watford in the Premier League in England. Got a couple of goals in the second half of last season, but it's an important time with all these big money transfers coming in for the likes of Niang, Mauri, Kessia, players who have been loaned out repeatedly by Milan to find their feet in Serie A. Not going to get many more chances now.
These might be their last chances, these very friendlies. And the challenge for Montella is not just to perhaps assess a lot of the players that he does have, is to look at the new ones as well over the coming days.
Niang, it was Mauri who won that bravely. Milan get a corner. Now, hopefully Mauri's going to get back on his feet. The referee goes back to have a look at him. Mauri played against Milan for Empoli, where he was on loan, and actually they won in San Siro in April. Some leagues, like the Premier League in England, don't permit that, but a lot of people think that's wrong with so many players going on loan. And in Italy, they do allow loanees to play against the parent club. Personally, I'm in favour of that, I have to say. Bonaventura, who's kept his end up through these turbulent last couple of seasons. And Borini, another on loan, of course. Sunderland of what was the Premier League, now the Championship in England is the alternative address. I think the weather slightly better in Milan. Not better here. Bonaventura's corner.
I think many were surprised by the signing of Borini. He does have one cap to his name for the Italian national team, was taken to the European Championships in 2012. He perhaps has higher currency in Italy than he does in England. For them, it's probably no risk, but there certainly will be another striker arriving through the door. Whether that's Aubameyang, who used to play for Milan, playing against them today, or Alvaro Morata. Rumours of that, a potential move from Real Madrid, escalating in the past few days.
And a sense that Manchester United have given up on Morata. Would be an irony, would it not, if Juventus would watch on and see Bonucci and Morata by a different route end up at Milan for the new season. That's Bartra.
A little bit better from Milan here. They're very slow to start, and this will be the way that Dortmund play over the coming season. We know that Peter Bosz likes his teams to press high. There's an attacking nature, and they were ready from the start here. It looks like Milan have settled slightly.
Piszczek on the front foot that time. Does incidentally look as though Lucas Piszczek has started in his most customary position at right back. That's into his area there with young Zagadou, who is does favour his left foot starting in left back. I know some coaches like to switch them over, don't they?
Dortmund and Monaco, I'd argue, even are the two clubs for young players to go to at the moment. For some, they'd see it as a stepping stone to the very next level. Look at that Monaco team, which is possibly going to be slowly dismantled this summer. But for the likes of Alexander Isak, who Real Madrid were looking to sign, he chose Dortmund knowing that he might get more game time.
On the bench today, Isak, and not a shot in anger, but an attempted shot in anger by Niang. As you say, Rob, Milan finding their feet in the game a little bit. And everybody finding their feet okay despite the rain-sodden surface here. Those who are in, who have braved the elements, making a right racket, mainly in favour of Milan. Dortmund, popular visitors, certainly, but with the Chinese connections now for Milan, they'll hope to build a major base in every sense in this part of the world. The 31-year reign of Silvio Berlusconi finally coming to an end, although he's probably in the background somewhere.
I think he still has a close hand on things, and you know, there were concerns about how much money these investors, the consortium, had to actually invest in Milan. They are putting their money where their mouth is. We look at the figures you talked about earlier, 200 million euros so far. It is no guarantees for success, and they only have to look across the city at Inter, who've spent crazy money, similar money in the last two seasons, and Inter actually finished below Milan in the table last campaign.
If you live long enough, you'll see everything, and at the moment we have Milan and Inter, two of the greatest names in European football history, languishing almost as mid-table sides in Italy. Juventus won the league again with 91 points. Milan got 63, Inter 62. Bartra stepped in and on and got a free kick. The combative little Maori wasn't going to allow him to run past him. A bit naughty that for a friendly, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. He's fortunate. At least a caution in a competitive game. He knew what he was doing. He had been beaten comfortably by Bartra. You could see momentum was taking him away. decided to deal with it that way. Referee lenient, I think.
Just couldn't help himself. Old habits die hard. So Nuri Sahin over it. And he's wasted it.
Poor delivery, really, and there weren't even that many players in that area. I can see Zagadou around the edge of the penalty area, and that was it.
Cleared by Storari. Sahin. Zagadou to Christian Pulisic. Nice weight on that. Dembele, Milan stretched. Too much on it for Aubameyang. Pulisic quickly on the scene. Trying to trick his way past the knowing veteran Abate, and he wasn't buying it, Abate. Good work by him.
Couple of glimpses there of the quality of Christian Pulisic, and as to why he's so admired globally at the moment. Of course, last summer there was talk he was going to join Liverpool. He decided to stay at Borussia Dortmund. They had no intention of selling anyway. But he had lots of game time because of the injuries to Marco Reus. And really, with Reus out for a lot longer as well with a knee injury, Pulisic will make up, surely, the first-choice front three for Dortmund, as long as Aubameyang stays as well.
One or two Dortmund fans, and as you know, Rob, they have a nice line in humour, the supporters club at Borussia Dortmund. They said it's been anything but a normal, close season for us. We haven't sold anybody to Bayern yet.
They've managed to avoid that so far. In fact, Christian Pulisic in the last few days said he would never ever join Bayern. Now, we've heard that before, but he's very happy and very settled at Borussia Dortmund, and also he's a huge marketing asset for the US market, and they'll be very keen to keep him.
Aubameyang quiet so far. His layoff, Roda, formerly of Bayern, one that went the other way, of course. Pulisic, nice build-up, nice hit, and it's crept through, and Nuri Sahin puts Borussia Dortmund in front. Wasn't a very good free kick by him, but nothing wrong with that strike. Arguably, Storari might have done a little better, but he couldn't keep it out.
Well, on this surface, that kind of shot's going to be difficult to deal with. But Storari will know he should have done better. And he couldn't really claim that he was surprised that shot was going to come in. It was lined up for Sahin quite clearly by Pulisic. And I think Sahin knows just to hit that along the ground. He knows that Storari will struggle. 22 years older than Gianluigi Donnarumma, who, of course, is one of the finest goalkeepers in Europe right now.
So the number 8, first on the scoreboard, amazingly, Sahin, still only 28 years of age, but year in, year out, what a struggle to stay fit and well. Still they believe in him, and Peter Bosz giving him the chance in these pre-season games to stake another claim. 4 Bundesliga starts last season, 6 the season before, 6 the season before that, all because of injury.
Just has not been able to stay fit. The move to Real Madrid perhaps came a little bit too early in his career. He didn't see much game time there. The loan move to Liverpool, of course, wasn't a success either. We really hope he does get more game time this season, with Dortmund selling Sven Bender to Bayer Leverkusen to link up with his brother Lars there. Maybe Sahin will get more game time in 2017-18.
Relatively quiet summer in the transfer market so far for Dortmund, but Bender, who's many people's idea of a stalwart, moving on, and so too Matthias Ginter. Dembele. So you're quite right, Rob, it does open up a little bit of space for the likes of Sahin in that area of the team. Ginter, not everybody's favourite Dortmund player, I think, but he had a very, very good FIFA Confederations Cup for Germany. And obviously the transfer was already on the blocks before that. So they've lost two. Pulisic goes over and it's going to be a penalty. Paletta argues the case, and the case may be that Pulisic was going over anyway, I don't know.
Well, it's a nice piece of skill regardless from Pulisic. We will have to look at this again. Just inside the penalty area. He's so clever.
Paletta was tempted in.
Just enough to bring him down. Dortmund thoroughly on top at the moment.
So Aubameyang, the goal scorer for all seasons, starting this pre-season still as a Borussia Dortmund player. What the future holds, nobody knows. But it would be nice for him to start that clock ticking in the goal-scoring sense again. Down the middle with pace, he's got every kind of penalty in the book. He can chip them, he can hit them hard into the corners. And he just waited for Storari to go down here. It's 2-0 Borussia Dortmund.
It's a fine penalty from the top scorer in the Bundesliga last season. He was simply outstanding. And that's a very good penalty indeed. You do wonder why more clubs are not interested in the talent of Aubameyang. PSG linked, City linked, moved to China, that never materialised. I think Borussia Dortmund would be very happy to see him in that number 17 shirt next season.
40 in 46 last season, 31 in the Bundesliga. Made even Robert Lewandowski turn all jealous. Paletta in a panic again. I said at the start, Rob, this is a bit too much like watching the Milan side of last season. All these big name players, but none of them really on the field at the moment, and it's got the feel of a Milan performance from last season, perhaps. Brittle.
Spot on. I'm sure Montella is desperate to get those new players on the training pitch to work on what he wants. Not all of them have been available immediately on the tour. We understand that Andre Silva, who was at the Confederations Cup, Bonucci and Bilia, who were only signed this week, are all on their way to China now for their next friendly. And I mean, that entire 11, perhaps bar Donnarumma, ironically, will be dramatically changed.
Aubameyang, flag stayed down. Milan all over the place here. Off Paletta again, corner.
Just too much time for Aubameyang. Every single time he gets the ball in front of that back four, they're not tight enough. It's why he's been able to work the ball out to Dembele at times, and it was why he was able to get a shot away there.
Not much going the other way. Go for Bate first. Socrates had a swing at it. Lucas Piszczek covering right across on Borini. Marcel Schmelzer, incidentally, Piszczek's long-time compadre, the two full-backs from the Champions League final team of 2013. Schmelzer, the club captain now at Dortmund, he's among the substitutes today. Both have been fantastic servants. I mentioned the likes of Ginter and Bender. I think for many Dortmund fans, they saw those players as being the sort of inheritors of that tradition, but for their own reasons, happy to move on.
Ginter underwhelmed and underperformed when he was brought in from Freiburg. He was certainly seen as a future Borussia Dortmund starter. I remember one game against Hertha Berlin, especially last season away from home, he was very poor in possession. And I think given the money they got, I think it was something like 15 million euros from Borussia Mönchengladbach.
Yes.
I think that was a good piece of business by Dortmund.
Certainly proved his worth in that international squad in the tournament in Russia. Now Bacca fighting his way forward. Has a hit and it's crept past Weidenfeller, and out of nothing, Milan get one back.
Well, similar in nature to the first goal we've seen here. And this was a problem for Roman Weidenfeller when he did play last season. When Roman Bürki was injured, it was getting down to low shots down to his right. Positioning wrong as well. And well played Carlos Bacca, who has something to prove at the moment. He took advantage, he saw the gap. And that's a smart finish into the corner. Cracking start to this one.
All he can do when he plays is score goals, and of course the inheritor of one of the most demanding jobs in European football, being the front man for Milan. But the goal ratio pretty respectable. 18 and 13 in Serie A in his 2 seasons since moving on from Sevilla, in a struggling side. Dembele. Rodriguez. Knows all about him from the Bundesliga, Rodriguez.
Smart signing by Milan, I think, as well. Rodriguez was thought to be the next Real Madrid left-back to inherit the role from Marcelo. Especially in 2015-16, when Wolfsburg actually played Real Madrid in the Champions League quarter-final. A disappointing season for Wolfsburg meant that Rodriguez went off the radar a little bit. Wonderful free-kick taker as well, and Milan kept their eye on him smartly.
Bacca goes again. Socrates in trouble against him. Just leaning on him a little bit. Socrates gets away with that.
Well, there's the physicality of Bacca, who's actually been booked for kicking the ball away, I think. Looked a little harsh to me on first viewing. This is good work from Bacca. I don't really see what he's done wrong there. There was an arm on Socrates when he was already going to ground. I don't think that's a free kick.
Well, he's doing what he does. You know, he puts the ball in the net and he puts himself about all over people. And the likes of Andre Silva have a different skill set, don't they? So, you know, that's his value. He plays to his strengths. A lot of coaches like that. And doesn't try to be something he's not. Milan perhaps fortunate to be on the scoreboard, but it gives them an air of respectability in the game, and they'll hope to become more competitive as it goes along. Socrates. Haven't really got Aubameyang on the run so far. Gonzalo Castro. Broken up by Zapata. Dortmund have a man down here, and Shahin's pointing that out to the referee. Man is Castro.
Had some good spells in the team last season, Gonzalo Castro. It certainly took him a while to settle after arriving from Bayer Leverkusen. Be interesting to see if he does keep his place in the side. He's caught high up there, in fact. Mahmoud Dahoud, signed from Gladbach, would be an expected starter, I think, for Dortmund alongside Julian Weigl next season in the middle. It's whether Castro can pick up the third of the 3 central midfield positions.
Was rewarded with a new contract halfway through last season. Socrates. Shahin. The transfer policy by Dortmund. True to type, really. Sell high, buy low, buy young. So incoming, Mo Dahoud, who was an outstanding prospect at Mönchengladbach last season, Germany under-21 international. Zagadou, who's on the ball now, only just turned 18, Zagadou. And Max Philipp from Freiburg. I spoke to a member of the German coaching hierarchy during the Confederations Cup, and he said to me, it is possible that Max Philipp will be the next Mario Götze. They think that highly of him, so many eyebrows and much applause going in Dortmund's direction across German football that Philipp chose Dortmund because he had the choice of every big club. Moving on from Freiburg.
Wonderful talent. Best position might be in number 10. He can play up front if needed. Also his ability to shoot from range, absolutely phenomenal. And under Christian Streich at Freiburg, he's had the best coaching, one of the best coaching educations you can get in Germany.
Let's see if Zagadou can shift here. Not quite. Chance for him to shine, of course, at the moment with the extended break for Rafael Guerreiro following that Confederations Cup. Guerreiro was with Portugal. Philipp, potentially the next Mario Götze, or so they say. The current Mario Götze is on the bench over Buss's shoulder.
Had such a tough time, Mario Götze, with that metabolic disorder, which meant that he had to sit out the final few months of the season. And I know the club, they say they're going to be patient with him. They've tried to rush him back. His fitness hasn't been right. He had 30 minutes, I think, the other day in a friendly. It feels like a long time ago since he scored the winner in a World Cup final. Thomas Tuchel didn't particularly want Dortmund to re-sign him when they did from Bayern. It's all about him getting healthy again and proving he can play some part of this level for Dortmund because the standard's high, given the players they have.
By agreement, this drinks break at 30 minutes in the very humid conditions here. All about keeping the intensity good.
I think Peter Bosz will be loving what he's seeing so far. Encouraging signs of the type of football he wants to play. Questionable goalkeeping for 2 of the 3 today. And a nice hit from Yuri Sahin and a cool penalty as well from Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Dortmund perhaps unfortunate to have conceded in this game. But they'll be hoping to get closer to Bayern next season as well.
Bakker bustling his way through to put Milan on the scoreboard. Yes, Weidenfeller, not his finest moment in goal. Not that Bakker cares about that.
The more I see a replay of that goal, the more I love the fact he tried it. Great thinking from Bakker, who, I mean, at Sevilla in their Europa League triumph, a couple of those I think involved with, he was simply outstanding leading the line. And as you say, regardless of whether they bring in Morata, having already brought in Andre Silva, he's a different centre-forward to what they've got.
Bartra down. Barini, all apologies.
A couple of times Amar Bartra has been clattered so far. He did return before the end of the season with that wrist injury. It's actually Barini catching him on the way back. Nothing to do with the challenge. There.
Should be apologising for it, in my opinion. Quiet from Rodriguez at his swashbuckling best. Loves to rampage forward. I think you're right, the general malaise at Wolfsburg did just take the edge off him a little bit.
But he was also severely hampered by being played out of position. They wanted him at centre-back. He is by far a better left-back than he is a centre-back. Wolfsburg defensive problems. They were trying anything to fix the problem. But an outstanding acquisition for Milan.
Wolfsburg just surviving in the Bundesliga in a playoff. Mighty fall from grace. Cup winners a couple of years ago. Champions League regulars over the last 5 or 6 years. For a long time it looked like they might be playing in the Zweite Bundesliga in 2017-18. It was a thrilling league last season, as you know, Rob. You know, the arrival at the top table of Leipzig, Hoffenheim with their 29-year-old coach, and the established order, Dortmund, Leverkusen and Wolfsburg finding it very difficult to stay established. Deflection on the cross, Weidenfeller takes charge of it. Roda, been quiet so far, Sebastian Roda, he's run off that, goes over, gets a free kick. The powerful Niang running back. Roda needs to put a string of games together, doesn't he?
Absolutely does. Was not first choice at Bayern. And really, by joining Borussia Dortmund, club he said he supported as a boy, his situation didn't really change. Squad player. Injuries last season were a massive factor for him, as it was for the whole Dortmund squad in truth. Some people who looked at the table perhaps thought Thomas Tuchel massively underachieved last season by finishing behind Leipzig. Given the injuries that they had, and the fact that they won a cup as well, I'd argue something to the contrary.
The style of play is always going to put a heavy physical burden on their players. Very, very intense. They train hard every day, and it does lead to wear and tear. Men like Piszczek back involved, you know, and great to see him out there, but he lost a year or two, didn't he? Aubameyang, one who seems to shrug it all off. I don't know what he's made of. Step over by Dembele, and that was Piszczek. And that is going to be a throw-in.
You can afford to smile about it in a pre-season friendly, but it was nice build-up from Dortmund again, involving Dembele, who's just so clever. To think that just over a year ago now, he cost Borussia Dortmund 12 million, 13 million euros. You'd probably have to times that by 5 or 6 to get his true value in this crazy summer transfer market.
Good work by Pulisic, getting back at Abate. Here's Roda. Didn't wait for Piszczek, might have done better to do that, actually. Paid 15 million for him. Bartra's header. Borini better be careful. I think there might be a little bit of score settling after his stamp. Paletta. Dembele put the rush on him, but he did well with it. Now Rodriguez. On by Bonaventura. Kessie. Abate goes back for it.
Can't help but feel it looks incredibly uncomfortable and disjointed when Milan try and play out from their back four. And in fact, when Bakker has played the ball more direct, that's when they've had more success stretching Borussia Dortmund here.
Well, a player like Borini, it should also be tailored for, but not so far today. Struggling to get into it, getting tetchy, and as we've seen, very naughty, that stamp on Bartra. Having a pop at Castro here.
Seen a few tasty challenges and naughty ones as well from the Milan players, and I think it's indicative of their frustrations, of how they have been unable to find any kind of rhythm in this game so far, and it's a Dortmund side that look fitter, fresher and sharper.
August the 5th, the date of the Super Cup against Bayern. That might explain a lot of it. Overhit by Paletta. Another point, I think, from Borussia Dortmund's point of view at the moment, Rob, is given the stellar performances of the so-called backup players for Germany at the FIFA Confederations Cup. The under-21s won the European Championship. The top-line players have got it all to do to get places on the plane for the World Cup. Here's Aubameyang, trying to go around Paletta. He's done that. Great pull back, and it's put over the top by Castro.
This is what Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is excellent at as well, and it is stretching teams. Started out really as a wide man when he first came to Borussia Dortmund, has turned into an excellent centre-forward. But able to bring in his teammates here, and it's very clever. He knew to chop that back to one of two players in yellow shirts. And Dortmund, well, it could have been a bigger lead at this point in the game.
Three Bundesliga goals last season for Castro. Good running by Niang. Here's Barini. Did well with it. Just too much on it, and he's not the tallest, of course. Bonaventura couldn't climb there. Rodriguez following up. Kessier. Zapata. Dortmund so good in these positions, breaking. Castro, Aubameyang. Full steam ahead down the middle. The ball wasn't really good enough, or indeed early enough for him.
One of the fastest players in world football. You have to have faith that he'll be able to get onto a ball that's played early. I think you're absolutely right there. For managers watching around Europe.
Well, good overrule by the referee. The flag went up because it was Mauri coming back from an offside position, but he didn't go to play the ball. Well done, referee. Came to nothing anyway. Peace check. Bartra. Still don't know, of course, how the likes of Bartra are coming to terms with the events on that infamous night in April when the Borussia Dortmund team bus was attacked on the way to the Champions League game against Monaco. Certainly left a huge cloud over the rest of the season, not just emotionally, psychologically, but politically inside the club. And Thomas Tuchel was outspoken in his criticism of the game going ahead. That did him no favours with the board. And very soon after, the relationship pretty much broke down completely. But whoever is in charge of the players now has got to make sure that they are in the right frame of mind going forward. Some will deal with it in a different way to others.
Certainly from Matthias Ginter, players now left Dortmund. Massively affected him. I think he even questioned whether he really wanted to continue playing around that time. But that incident, while that relationship was in decline already at Borussia Dortmund with him and some of the senior players for Thomas Tuchel, it was the catalyst and the beginning of the end.
Also quite miraculous that it wasn't more serious in terms of injury. Mauri, Barini, found a little bit of room and couldn't find the far post. might need a few games. Doesn't look completely sharp to my eye, but the problem is whether he's going to get the opportunity now.
He says he's come to Milan to start games. I don't think he will start many. But Milan, they'll be hoping Europa League duties. They have to play qualifiers to actually reach the group stage, plus the Coppa Italia. It's a lot of matches that they have to play, and you presume he'd be used more in cup competition over the coming 12 months.
2 goals for relegated Sunderland in the Premier League in England. Did much better, of course, the previous year when they came from a seemingly hopeless position to survive. Kessie down. Great season on loan at Atalanta, who were the surprise in Serie A in 2016-17. Very instrumental. He scored 9 league goals from midfield.
Covers a lot of ground, versatile as well. And Milan worked hard to get him back into the first team squad. And you would certainly hope someone of his age as well gets lots of game time over the coming season.
The 45-minute mark has been passed. There'll be a couple of stoppage minutes, we understand. Here's Barini again. Zagadou. Abate, Bacca, trying to work with Barini, who's gone over on the edge of the box, and they're going to get a free kick here, Milan.
You can see Ricardo Rodriguez immediately stepping over towards the ball. Didn't actually score that many in the Bundesliga last season, but I think he'll be looking to line this up with that left foot of his.
Weidenfeller knows all about him. One thing, knowing all about him, and another thing, if the shot is right, keeping it out. It is Rodriguez.
Felt he would have been better off trying to keep this one relatively low. Weidenfeller struggles to get down to the ball like he used to when they reached the Champions League final in 2013. And on this surface, I think that could have caused him better problems than trying to pick out the top corner.
Might be the last action of the first half. Indeed it is. Borussia Dortmund much closer to their proper start to the campaign and the Super Cup against Bayern Munich, and it's shown here in the first half. Aubameyang from the spot, generally not at his sharpest just yet, it must be said. Bacca restoring some respectability, fighting his way through and scoring for Milan as they recovered from the early goal conceded to Nuri Sahin. Dortmund in the main have been running it, and Milan trying to hang on. Certainly they've done that, and at half-time here it's still up to be decided. It's Milan 1, Borussia Dortmund 2 in Guangzhou.
Premier Sports is going mobile. Download our new iOS app and bring your favourite sports with you on the go. That's bone crunchers in the Docks waiting room.
Big contact.
Overtime winners on your lunch break. And some 200 miles per hour racing on the bus.
Holy cow, baby.
Plus, check out our new Premier Player website on your desktop while you're at it too. Android version coming soon.
And what a goal!
The International Champions Cup, live Wednesday on Premier Sports.
Trevor.
Yeah?
You're a private landlord, right? And your tenants are in a tough financial situation. They can't pay their rent, which is keeping you up at night.
Yeah, but
you're with Direct Line. They'll repay any unpaid rent until the tenants are out. So relax, Trevor. It's time for me to put you to sleep. Coco?
Landlords, Direct Line guarantees to beat the quote and renewal premium of other insurers for the same cover.
I've been asked many times what my #1 interview was. Tough question. But for over 50s life cover, the nation's #1 choice is clear. The guaranteed over 50 plan from Sun Life. We'd all like to leave something for our loved ones to help with funeral costs or as a cash gift. And with the nation's #1, you can do just that. If you're aged between 50 and 85, you're guaranteed to be accepted without any health questions.
And cover starts from under £4 a month.
You can't get this kind of cover for less. After you've had the plan for 2 years, a cash sum is paid when you're gone.
Call this number today. The first month's premium is free. You get a free pen just for inquiring and a gift card when you join. Why not put your family first with the #1 choice? Call free on 0800 50 55 50 or visit sunlife.co.uk.
Welcome to QuickBooks. Manage your small business finances with it. Customize and send invoices in seconds. Get paid faster. Automatically calculate self-assessment and VAT. Run payroll with ease. And connect everything to your bank account. All using an effortless solution that's great for accountants and used by over 1 million small businesses. QuickBooks makes any place your place of business. See your finances in a whole new way. Search QuickBooks today. Now with up to 50% off for your first 6 months. QuickBooks. Your accounts and taxes done.
Wondering if the colors in my mind.
Now introducing our new Surf detergent range.
Take a hot pan, fresh ingredients, let the show begin. Your seafood will sing, your asparagus will shine, but don't let burnt butter spoil the show. New Bertolli with butter and olive oil for a rich buttery taste without burning.
New Hellman's ketchup only sweetened by honey. We care about making our ketchup more natural, and we care about spectacular taste. Because at Hellman's, we're on the side of food.
Now available at Tesco.
Everybody in Guangzhou reviewing the highlights of this first half, the International Champions Cup meeting of Milan and Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund certainly looking sharp and purposeful from the off, and Nuri Sahin putting the German club in front, getting the ball past Storari. It was quite spicy at times, and Mauri in midfield putting himself about for Milan, certainly. Christian Pulisic going over and earning the penalty against Paletta. What was your view of it, Rob?
I think it was a penalty. Pulisic too clever on the turn to get away from the defender. There wasn't much in it, but enough to award the penalty, and you can't fault the spot kick itself from Aubameyang. Absolutely ruthless.
So the top scorer of last season gets one in pre-season here. The giveaway by Zagadou would prove costly as Baka barreled his way past a couple of would-be challengers, and somehow it squirmed free of Weidenfeller. And out of very little, Milan on the scoreboard. They'd not created hardly anything in the attacking sense to that point.
Dortmund thoroughly on top for the entirety of the first half, but especially the first 25 minutes. But on this wet, greasy surface, the rain hasn't stopped. It was going to be difficult for the veteran goalkeeper to get down to that, and very clever from Bakker as well.
Milan just not quite sharp enough to get to everything, and moments of frustration certainly creeping in. This little tangle here between Borini and Bartra, very unseemly. I know we're a long way from it, but I think Borini should be getting his legs out of the way of Bartra. Understandably, Bartra and Dortmund were not happy about that. And Gonzalo Castro not too happy to spoon it over the bar. Might have put a reasonable gloss on the scoreline at half-time had he kept it down. After Aubameyang, who's been himself in fits and starts in this first half, looks perhaps as though he needs a week or so of hard training to get the real sharpness back. Mari coming onto it and giving it to Borini here. Don't think he really got the kind of contact he would want here.
I wonder if he saw Bakker run across there as well and was tempted to try and play it into him. A little bit of doubt in his mind, but he was certainly trying to pick out that far corner in the end.
And Weidenfeller looking a little bit concerned, but that's as bad as it got as Borini's shot went wide. And Milan still looking for top condition physically, and it's shown in the first half. Borussia Dortmund have in the main controlled it. Second half coming in just a few minutes.
International Champions Cup, live Wednesday on Premier Sports.
Trevor. Yeah? You're a private landlord, right? And your tenants are in a tough financial situation. They can't pay their rent, which is keeping you up at night.
Yeah, but
you're with Direct Line. They'll repay any unpaid rent until the tenants are out. So relax, Trevor. It's time for me to put you to sleep. Coco?
Landlords, Direct Line guarantees to beat the quote and renewal premium of other insurers for the same cover.
It's June, Dad.
Hello, June. How are you?
Hi. You off hiking? These came next door by mistake.
Sun Life. Must be my guaranteed over 50 plan. Fantastic.
Oh, yes. I've seen the ads with parking.
That's it. I just wanted a guaranteed cash sum to help cover my funeral costs. Seemed the right thing to do, you know, for the family.
I've read about how fast funeral costs are rising.
Exactly. Sun Life's guaranteed payout can be worth thousands.
Is it good value?
Yes, and it's the most affordable cover of its type.
Easy to arrange?
Yes, you can do it in a few minutes. No medical, no awkward questions.
Oh, perhaps I'll get a guaranteed over 50 plan.
Give them a call. The first month's free.
What's the number?
To leave a cash sum for your family, call 0800 55 60 60.
Oh, and you get a welcome gift card. Might get some new binoculars with mine.
Call today on 0800 55 60 60 or visit sunlife.co.uk.
Welcome to QuickBooks. Manage your small business finances with it. Customize and send invoices in seconds. Get paid faster. Automatically calculate self-assessment and VAT. Run payroll with ease. And connect everything to your bank account. All using an effortless solution that's great for accountants and used by over 1 million small businesses. QuickBooks makes any place your place of business. See your finances in a whole new way. Search QuickBooks today. Now with up to 50% off for your first 6 months. QuickBooks. Your accounts and taxes done.
Introducing our new surf detergent range.
Take a hot bath fresh ingredients. Let the show begin. Your seafood will sing, your asparagus will shine, but don't let burnt butter spoil the show. New Bertolli with butter and olive oil for a rich buttery taste without burning.
The football competition of the summer is coming to Premier Sports. Watch 19 games featuring some of the Premier League's best, along with Real Madrid, Barcelona, and a host of top European sides.
Oh, what a goal! Absolutely astounding!
The 2017 International Champions Cup, this July on Premier Sports.
Borussia Dortmund leading here in Gwangju. Welcome back, everybody. The formal opening of the International Champions Cup 2017. Not helped by the weather, it must be said, but some high-quality stuff on display from one of Germany's elite clubs. And Milan a little sooner than they might have liked, in all honesty, given that the start of the Serie A season is still several weeks away for them. Dortmund with only a fortnight before their Super Cup meeting with Bayern Munich. Not quite at full strength, but the likes of Mario Götze hoping to get their opportunity in the second half here. Home from home, or that's the intention, the big scheme of things off the field for Milan under Chinese ownership now. To build up the brand, build up the awareness, build up the fervour for their club. Dortmund very popular on their repeat visits to Asia in pre-seasons gone by.
Of course, we could have seen, had things been different, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang come over to play his football in this part of the world. Moved to Tianjin Quanjian. Never materialised. It would have cost the club 70 million in transfer fees and then 70 million in tax. It would have been an extraordinary transfer. But nonetheless, heavy investment from Chinese businessmen, not just in their domestic league, but across Europe at the moment.
Certainly the latest to make their mark, as the Russians before them. And the Americans. We're down in the south of China here, sprawling city of some 14 million. Talk about fan base, 14 million in the urban area of Gwangju. Port city, close to Hong Kong. (8:30 in the evening here, or coming up to that. Of course, it is Bayern Munich next for Milan, as Bayern make their appearance in this International Champions Cup. There are 5 representatives from the Premier League in England: Manchester City, Manchester United, Tottenham Hotspur, Chelsea and Arsenal. Dortmund and Bayern from Germany. 5 clubs from Italy: Sampdoria and Roma, along with Juve and the 2 Milan giants, Paris Saint-Germain and Lyon of France. And the games being spread around this vast country, rightly. Several more games in this continent in Singapore.
See that Shinji Kagawa making his way up the steps at the moment. The Japanese international just agreed a new contract as well with Borussia Dortmund, I believe, and really came back to, I think last season was probably his best season since he re-signed from Manchester United, where he really struggled to make a real imprint at at Old Trafford.
He's been an iconic player, really, in his own way during his 2 spells at Dortmund, yes, but there was a lot of speculation that it might all be coming to an end, so it'll be a very popular piece of business, I think, but to your point, Rob, he has got to put a big season together. Players at different stages, of course, the likes of Julian Weigl still not ready to return, and the biggest question, of course, in that area surrounds Götze, and as much as his physical fitness, his state of mind.
I mean, his points, even when people couldn't quite work out why he hadn't returned to form, were questioning his character. And ultimately, in hindsight now, it's proved to be very harsh. It just, due to this illness, it hasn't been able to happen for him. If Dortmund can get him back, well, Berkey there with Shinji Kagawa, if they can get him anywhere near to the level he was in that season when they got to the Champions League final, when that move to Bayern was confirmed before they played them at Wembley. It's basically another new signing for them. Evan Subotic, who was out on loan at Cologne last season as well. I wonder whether he will be there come the start of the season.
I think he wants to be. Cologne did very well with him in the team, of course. Tremendous club in their own right. But like Kagawa, I think he feels that he is a part of the fabric of Dortmund. Played a big part in that very successful period around the Champions League final. So Bosch, the new coach, resisting the temptation to make wholesale changes at this point. Musacchio's out there for Milan. Bacca, the man who got their goal. Can really ruin the rhythm of the game, so I'm going to pipe up right now and say I'm pleased that the substitutes have been considered and cautious to this point. But Hakan Çalhanoğlu starts in that famous jersey. Now, if Aubameyang can just do the explosive for Dortmund, Çalhanoğlu certainly has always had that ability during his career at Bayer Leverkusen. It all ended very badly and very painfully there, but moving on and making a new start in his career. They paid 24 million to bring him to Milan, and potentially a very special footballer. On it right away.
Well, in Hakan Çalhanoğlu, they've signed one of the 2 best free-kick takers from the Bundesliga, and I might argue that Rodriguez was the other. Wonderfully gifted technical player, can play wide, can play through the middle. It looks like, as he comes on for Niang here, who was playing out on the left-hand side, but it looks like he might have settled into the middle of the pitch. It'll be interesting to see whether he'll be in behind Bacca in the opening stages.
And a changing goal, the youngster Dominic Reimann is on for Weidenfeller. Burki picking up that little injury in the training session earlier today, in case you weren't with us at the start. He makes him work hard, doesn't he? Really full-on session earlier today, and then a match in the evening. Here's Çalhanoğlu. Now, he is also a player who needs a lot of work after that lengthy ban, the layoff. Be interesting to see what kind of shape he's in. Had to train on his own for a couple of months. Bacca got it down. To my untrained eye, I'm not sure Aubameyang is fully sharp yet. What do you think, Rob?
Possibly not. We've seen flashes of what he can do. They're all working their way back to full fitness. It is mid-July. But I'm sure he'll be ready for the start of the season. And just looking at a couple of the big newspapers in Germany in the past couple of hours, seem to quote similar sources from Borussia Dortmund saying that the window is shut in their mind in terms of Aubameyang, that no clubs have been forthcoming, and that he will be their player next season.
The club want clarity, and that's why they said a couple of days ago, look, there's a deadline, and after it falls, we're not going to talk about it anymore. And that, you know, is logical, good club management in my view. Dembele. But it also does depend on the goodwill of the player, doesn't it? You know, that the player is going to get that. They've made a mess of this. He's going to be offside, surely, Aubameyang. He knew that, surely. Just couldn't help himself.
No, strikers can't. He seemed to indicate at the back end of last season that he would be going. Move to Real Madrid, I think, was clearly his ideal destination. The emergence of perhaps even not just Ronaldo as a striker, but Kylian Mbappe as a future Real Madrid player perhaps limited that possibility for him.
On by Çalhanoğlu. Bonaventura. Rodriguez. That's a bit more like it. Rodriguez pushing on. Bonaventura. Rodriguez again. 4 in the box for Milan. Deflection on the cross. Put clear by Şahin. Zapata. Perhaps looking a bit more focused here, Milan. I don't know. We shall see. Early stages of this second half, but there's a bit of a purpose about them here. That's a nice idea. Barini onside. Good start by Milan.
Yeah, they were incredibly lacklustre at the start of the first half. And I'm sure that Montella impressed upon his players that can simply not happen again in the second 45.
So the youngster in goal here, Dominic Reimann, he's 20 years of age. Dortmund product. Wasn't tempted to come for that. Dembele. To confirm it is Felix Passlack who's on at full-back, right-back for Dortmund. Kessie covering well. Just overran it. Inexperience showed itself then. Şahin. It's a step over by Castro to let it run to Aubameyang, and Castro couldn't get it back.
A little bit careless once he had done the hard part in midfield, but this is what Dortmund like to do. Interchange quick passes, and I think come the start of the season, a little bit sharper. Aubameyang's making that pass.
Brief spell at Sampdoria for Montella after the end came at Fiorentina. I suppose it was a question of timing as well, wasn't it? Who was available when it all ended with Mihajlovic? Pressed his case and won his case, got the chance.
There were question marks whether he would stay after his first season. He did have an impressive first half of the campaign. Apparently that was enough to impress the board to retain him for another season. And it was clear he wasn't given good enough players. You look at that 11, it was nowhere near the standard of the teams above them. But you wonder if there'll be a point where the ownership wants one of the stellar names in European coaching, many of whom are in the Premier League currently.
Always going to be an attractive destination, given the city, the football tradition, the lifestyle, and most of all the history of a club with 18 Serie A titles, 7 European Cups, 11 finals in all, second on the all-time list. Only Real Madrid have appeared in more. And lest we forget, I know the jersey's the same, really it's not the same feel or quality, but Milan, the team of the late 80s, early 90s, voted by World Soccer Magazine the best club side of all time in the history of football. I cannot follow that, and I can't argue with it either. So they're a long way from that elevated status. But as you said, you have to start somewhere, and they've got the checkbook out big time. Bonucci 42 million, Musacchio on the field now 18 million, Rodriguez 18, Andre Silva 40 million, Calhanoglu 24, and Donnarumma re-signing on a very, very substantial contract and an 88 million buyout clause. Lucas Biglia 20 million, and the promise of more to come. Interested in Morata. Dembele for Dortmund. And with that kind of largesse floating around, that's why the likes of Dortmund really insist on putting their players on long-term contracts. Understandable. Zagadou came forward from left back. Works to a different model, really, Bosch, and of course the main difference is the considerable influence above him of the director of football, Michael Zorc, who really runs the show. And the model there, as you know, Rob, is that the coach is told to coach the team and leave the business to the business people.
Big problem with Tuchel. A lot of the signings last summer he didn't want, and he felt that was part of the reason they underachieved in the Bundesliga.
Castro's corner. Socrates got something on it. Hook cleared by Calhanoglu. Roda dwelt on it, got caught. Needs to find himself, doesn't he, Sebastian Roda? He's given it away again. Little cameo, and that 5-second spell sums up his Dortmund career, I think.
Well, he had to be the one to take responsibility and win the ball back. Lacked any kind of certainty as that ball was bouncing in the centre circle. And had Milan been a little bit sharper, they probably would have taken advantage. They're still in a decent situation here, though.
Nobody has told me either way definitively whether Roda was one of those players that Tuchel really wanted, that you referred to. They paid 15 million to Bayern at the same time as Mario Götze came back. But looking down the list of the players who did come in during that period, Andre Schürrle, yet to fire. Mario Götze, yet to fire. Sebastian Roda, yet to fire. And all were for very substantial transfer fees.
Dembele was the one that worked out from that window, and Andre Schürrle was certainly a Tuchel choice. They worked together at Mainz, knew him very well. A trusted player, but again, Schürrle was unable to stay fit, unable to find rhythm in the team. And when Pulisic and Dembele were playing so well, there simply wasn't a spot for Andre Schürrle in the team last season.
And if there's no spot in the Borussia Dortmund team for him, there is no chance of a spot in the Germany squad. And this is going to be one of the biggest issues for some of the biggest names in German football in the season ahead. For Borussia Dortmund players, and indeed for some Bayern Munich players, that if they are not playing and playing on the top of their form, their sacrosanct positions in the German national squad are now severely under threat, given what the next wave have done in Russia this summer. And indeed what the under-21s have done.
He's essentially got three squads of players to choose from for that World Cup. The team that won the Confederations Cup, basically a B squad. An extraordinary achievement to win that competition, and Jogi Löw, the head coach of the German national team, really values the Confederations Cup. I mean, going back to 2005, he cited the fact that they embedded, under Jürgen Klinsmann then, the likes of Schweinsteiger, Philipp Lahm, into the first team, and we all know how their international careers ended up.
The competition has never been greater. Mari got something on it. Dembele went on. Socrates. Played forward by Şahin. Similar style to Gundogan, of course, isn't he? That's another factor there. Aubameyang, was there an arm on that? Well, it was allowed to continue anyway. Pulisic has it, briefly. No problems for Milan. İlkay Gundogan of Manchester City now, once off Dortmund. Not even on the radar at the moment for the national team, and indeed is Mario Götze, who's going to come on here and get some game time again. The man who won them the World Cup, surely the man with the assist. I think it would have ruined their holiday, personally, to see how well the next wave were doing. They wish them well in the national jersey, but it could come at a cost for them. They're certainly going to need to find their top form.
Game has gone a little bit flat here in the past few minutes. Maybe it does need freshening up. Dembele trying to make things happen. But given the nature of the first half and how open it was and how exciting Dortmund were in particular, it quite seem a similar match in the second period.
Just a sense perhaps that Milan have gritted their teeth and said, come on, let's try and get something out of this. Still early. The legs do look a little bit heavy, but getting results is a habit, and they want to start to get into that habit. Bonaventura couldn't make any headway, and neither will Aubameyang there. Kessie, still bound to be getting to know you still, isn't it, for so many of these Milan players. Kessie doing what he does well, and Bacca taken out by Socrates, who gets a yellow card and a free kick to Milan.
Well, that's really good hard work from two Milan players on the hour. A legitimate attempt to win the ball, I think, from Socrates. He thought he might get there. Might have even got a slight toe on the ball.
Well, I think he did, but he also took the man out, so it's got to be a free kick. Good refereeing, in my view.
Wonder now if this will be Çalhanoğlu's turn to have a free kick on the edge of the penalty area.
Finally, the rain is abating somewhat. On the score sheet now against the club where it all started in Europe. Castro